Hello everyone, myself Krishna Prasad DS. So welcome to my video lecture. So in this video, I'm going to start with the last module in data communication with the subject code 18CS46. In the module number 5, it comprises of three concepts: wired LANs, wireless LANs, and cellular networks. So we have already seen what is local area networks. In short, we call it as LAN. So LAN can be broadly classified into two types, that is wired local area network and wireless local area network. So based upon what type of link they are using, whether it is wired or wireless. So if at all a local area network uses wired links, then it is called as wired LAN, and the technology behind this will be different, and for that some organization has come up with some standards. So that one of the standard for this wired LAN is Ethernet. So that we are going to discuss in this particular module. And one more is another type of link is wireless. So again, by using wireless communication, again we can have a local area network. So for that also we have some standards. So even that also we are going to discuss in this module. So we'll discuss one by one. The first one is wired LAN, that is Ethernet standard. So in the year of 1985, the computer science of IEEE started with a project for standardizing a local area network, wired local area network. So the project is named as Project 802. So that is why it is called as IEEE 802 project. So IEEE is nothing but is a standard organization for standardizing different technologies. Uh, Under this, they have standardized the physical layer and data link layer of the TCP/IP model. Mainly here we are discussing only two layers. So how they have standardized the physical layer as well as data link layer. So if at all we want to see the layered approach, so here we are considering only two layers mainly because they have standardized only these two layers. So how they will be working with each layer and what are the technologies we will be using in different layers. So as I told, in IEEE standard project 802, so they have standardized the data link layer as well as physical layer. So the data link layer is subdivided into two layers. So as we discussed, one layer is called as DLC, data link control, and another sublayer is called as MAC. But IEEE called DLC as LLC, that is logical link control. So this is the one change. So logical link control. So LLC and DLC are same, but only difference is the name. And another sublayer is media access control layer. So these are the two sublayers, and the last one is physical layer. So according to the technology, whatever we use in transmission medium, the physical layer changes. The physical layer standard for wired LAN, that is Ethernet, that will be Ethernet physical layers. And if at all we use token ring, again we will be using the physical implementation for token ring purpose. So like that, if at all we have token bus, so then the physical layer will be suitable for that type of medium. So that is why as the underlying network changes, the physical layer will be changed, or the technologies whatever we use in physical layer will be different. And once we change in the physical layer, that will affect how we are accessing the link for transferring the data. So that is why whenever we make changes to physical layer, it will directly affects the one of the sublayer, that is media access control layer. So that is why, so for Ethernet we have separate Ethernet MAC layer, and for token ring we have separate token ring MAC layer, and for token bus we have separate token bus MAC layer. So the things will be different in these three uh, technologies. So in Ethernet, normally we use CSMA CD as a multiple access control, and in token ring we use token passing, and in token bus again we use token passing. These are the two technologies which uses token passing as their access control protocol. So, but whenever we look into LLC, so this will be common for all the three different types of technologies. So that is why here we will be looking into what is the changes in different Ethernet standards, that is Ethernet evolutions for physical layer, and what it made changes in the media access control layer. So if at all we will look into the functionality of these two layers, so it remains the same but with different small different. We'll see what is that. So as we seen in the data link layer, DLC, that is LLC, logical link control, performs framing, flow control and error control, and this framing is also handled by some part of framing is also handled by MAC sublayer. That is one changes here. LLC provides one single data link control protocol. So that is what I told, for all the technologies LLC is same, but only the MAC layer differs. In terms of MAC layer, it implements multiple access methods as the name itself indicates, so media access control. So that is why it implements multiple access methods, and for Ethernet it implements CSMA CD. So we already seen what is CSMA CD and how it works, and that is for Ethernet LAN, and for token passing, for token ring and token bus, it uses token passing. So that is the functionality of data link layer as a whole. And in physical layer, dependent on the implementation and type of physical media we use. So as I told, whenever we make changes in the media, it may affect the physical layer. That is why what type of physical media we use, depending on that, we will be using different technologies in the physical layer. So we'll discuss one by one. So according to the evolution, so we have 4 evolution for Ethernet. So it is evolved into 4 different evolutions. First one is called as standard Ethernet. That is the first Ethernet which is standardized, which is called as standard Ethernet, which works in 10 Mbps. That is the speed. So based upon the speed, they have kept the they have categorized different evolution. After that, they have made changes into one more Ethernet, that is fast Ethernet, which works in 100 Mbps. And third evolution is called as gigabit Ethernet, which works in the speed of 1 Gbps, equal to 1 Gbps. So gigabit per second. And the last one is 10 gigabit Ethernet. So these are the 4 evolutions of Ethernet we have, depending upon their speed. The first Ethernet which is developed is called as a standard Ethernet, so which works in 10 Mbps speed, and it was created in Xerox Palo Alto Research Center, that is SPARC. So we'll discuss MAC sublayer and physical layer for this standard Ethernet. So how physical layer is implemented and how MAC layer is implemented. So in the MAC layer, the first thing whatever they have designed is the frame format. So this is the IEEE 802.3 frame format for MAC layer. So in this format, we generally we call it as Ethernet frame, or we can also call it as IEEE 802.3 frame format. So we have different fields in this frame format. So we'll discuss one by one. So the first field is preamble. So actually these two fields are given in dark line. So actually these two does not comes in the Ethernet frame. It actually comes in the physical layer. Even though so it has some meaning, whenever we discuss this frame format. So first one is the preamble, so which consists of 56 bits, that is 7 byte, and it is nothing but alternating ones and zeros. So this preamble indicates that if Ethernet frame is going to reach the device, so it has to be ready with all synchronizing the bits, everything. So that is nothing but done by the preamble. So the frame will be sent, this is the starting field, so in this direction, so as it shown here. So first field is the preamble, so this is the start, so this will indicate that all the synchronizing of bits need to be done, so before it actually receives the content of the frame format. The next field is SFD, so which we call it as start frame delimiter. So this is nothing but a flag. So since this entire frame is variable length frame, so that means we, uh, we cannot decide the frame will have this much bit of data. So it may vary for different frames. So that is why, so whenever we deal with the variable length frame, so we should add flags. So that is why, so this SFD or start frame delimiter act as a flag, and it contains 1 byte of this. So 10101011, and this also indicates that the immediately after these two bits, we have the first bit of destination address, that is the first bit of the actual Ethernet frame. So that is why, so before it ends with this SFD, all the synchronizing of bits, everything need to be done, otherwise there will be some changes in the receiving of data. So this is the last chance for the device to make all those uh, preliminary actions, that is synchronizing the bits, everything. The next field is destination address. So as we in the Ethernet, the total length of destination address and source addresses, that is media access control address, is 48 bits or 6 bytes. So that is the first, we receive the destination address, next again source address. So that is why I told, so whenever we in the earlier classes, whenever we add the physical address, first we add destination address and next we add source address. But whenever we add logical address, that is IP address, first we add source IP address, next we add destination IP address. So in this case we are adding first destination address, which is of 48 bits. So next is source address, again 48 bits, so which indicates the MAC address of the source, and this indicates the MAC address of the destination, and next is the type, which is of 2 bytes. So this field indicates whether the data whatever I have here is belongs to which protocol. The upper layer protocol, that is network layer, can be working with IP protocol, or it can also have ARP protocol, or it can also have some other protocol. So that is why, so this field indicates what type of data it is carrying, whether it is belongs to IP protocol data, or whether it is belongs to ARP protocol data, or any other network layer protocol. And the next one is data and padding. So here we will be having the actual data from the upper layer, and before we send it to the next layer, so we have to pad, that means we have to add extra bits so that it will have minimum number of payload. So the main thing here, the Ethernet frame, is the minimum payload length and maximum payload length. So whenever we carry a frame, at least they should be 46 bytes, that is the minimum length of the frame, that is data length, and maximum it can have 1500 bytes. So these are the limitations we have for Ethernet frame. the maximum amount of data it can carry is 1500 bytes and minimum amount of data it can carry is 46 bytes. If at all the data does not have 46 bytes, then we have to add extra byte so that it becomes 46 bytes. So that is called as padding. Adding of extra bits or bytes is called as padding. The entire frame, the minimum, again there is a minimum length and maximum length for entire frame. So this is the minimum length and maximum length for data, and this is the minimum frame length and minimum frame length for entire Ethernet frame. So 512 bits is the minimum length in each frame, so nothing but 64 bytes. So how this is 64 bytes? So if the data bit is 46 bytes, next other fields includes 6 bytes of destination address, 6 bytes of source address and 2 bytes of type. So it is nothing but 6 plus 6 12, 12 plus 2 14, and the last bit is, that is field is CRC, that is 4 bytes. So 14 plus 4 18 bytes. So 46 plus 18 becomes 64 bytes. So that is the minimum length, and this 18 plus 1500, so that becomes maximum length as 1518 bytes. So this is the total length of the frame, and this is the minimum and maximum length of the data. So that is the main difference. And the last one is CRC, which is mainly for error detection and correction. So CRC stands for cyclic redundancy check, and it uses 4 bytes. So that is something but it uses CRC 32. So we will be adding 32 bit of redundant bit for error detection. So this is how the Ethernet frame is designed, or frame format. So this is an important question for your examination. So explain with a neat frame format, explain Ethernet frame or IEEE 802.3 frame. IEEE 802.3. So which is something but Ethernet. So this is the project name we given for Ethernet by the IEEE. Okay, so this is what minimum and maximum length. So this is the actual frame format, which includes destination address, source address, length PDU, that is based upon the data whatever we carry from the upper layer, and data with padding, that is 46 byte is the minimum and 1500 byte is the maximum, and 4 bytes of CRC. So this all includes in a actual frame of a Ethernet. So the minimum length of the frame is 512 bits after adding all these fields. So these are the control information, and only this much is the data which I received from the upper layer. So 512 bits, and maximum length is 1518 bytes. So either bits or bytes. So if it is bits, 512 bits. If it is bytes, 64 bytes. Or the maximum length 12,144 bits or 1518 bytes. So there is a reason behind mentioning the or designing the minimum length and maximum length. So one important reason is for having a minimum length is, since Ethernet uses CSMA CD, in CSMA CD, which where it is mainly depends upon the collision detection. So now before sending the entire frame to the link, it has to identify the collision if at all there is a collision in the medium. So that is why there is the minimum size of the frame decides whether actually it detects the collision successfully or not before it completely send the frame. So that is why this 64 byte is the minimum length, so that it can able to detect the collision before actually it completely send the frame. So that is why they have designed the minimum frame length as 64 bytes. So this is one reason why they have kept minimum length frame length. And maximum length frame, there are two reasons. One is buffer size. So whenever there is no limit in the maximum length, then we cannot design what should be the size of the buffer in each device, so that we can able to store the frame until other frames are processing. So that is why whenever we keep the maximum length, we can design what should be the size of the buffer space. That is the one reason. And second reason, to avoid monopoly of devices. So if at all we don't have any limitation in the length, only a particular device can send any amount of data without any stop. That is why they have kept with the maximum length of the frame. So frame length minimum is 64 bytes and maximum is 1518 bytes. So just keep this in mind. Okay. So next is address. So I think this one is we already discussed. So just I will brush it up. So the 48 bit of MAC address is represented in hexadecimal value, which is of 6 bytes, that is 48 bits. So this is one example of Ethernet address or MAC address. And we have three types of addresses, that is unicast, multicast and broadcast. And we can able to identify whether the given the address is unicast or multicast or broadcast based upon the leftmost bit of the first byte or least significant bit of the first byte. So whenever least significant bit of the first byte is 0, then that address is unicast. Whenever it is 1, then it is multicast. And if all the bits, 48 bits are 1, then it is broadcast. So least significant bit identifies in the first byte identifies the type of address. So if it is 0, that is unicast. If it is 1, then it is multicast. In the broadcast address, all the 48 bit will be 1. So three types of MAC addresses can be there. So even this example is also explained. So this address is a unicast. Why? Because whenever we see this one, so this is a 10, that is nothing but least significant bit will be 0, that is why it is unicast. And this is a odd number, that is why least significant bit will be 1, that is why it is multicast. And here all the bits are 1, that is why it is broadcast. So this example is discussed in the previous module. Okay, so now how address are sent. So whenever we are sending the address, so we have some fashion. Whenever we send the address is sent left to right, byte by byte. So since it has 6 bytes, so we will be sending from left to right. So that means, so here I am representing the same hexadecimal value in binary. So this is the first byte, this is the second byte, this is the third byte, fourth byte, fifth byte and sixth byte. So byte will be sent from left to right. So that means, so first this byte will be sent, next this byte will be sent, like that it goes. So that is why, so byte will be sent from left to right, but in the byte, bits will be transmitted from right to left. So that means, so whenever I send this byte, first this bit will be sent. Why? Because, so this bit identifies whether the address type is unicast, multicast or broadcast. So whenever it is 1, it is multicast, whenever it is 0, it is unicast. So that is why we send the bit in a byte from right to left. So like that all the bits will be sent. So as I told, so in Ethernet, standard Ethernet, we use CSMA CD for access control, and in that we use one persistent method. So I think you know what is one persistent method and how it works. So here they have given with two examples. So this is a bus topology where different devices are connected to a single cable, and here They have given with a star topology where all the devices are connected by using point-to-point link to a hub, centralized hub. So an example for Ethernet standard. And to identify the efficiency of a standard Ethernet, so they have come up with a formula, so which is given by efficiency is given by 1 by 1 plus 6.4 into A. So where A is nothing but number of frames that can be fit on a medium. So this is efficiency is nothing but it's a ratio of time used by the station to send the data to time the medium is occupied by this station. So based upon this ratio, so we can able to identify the efficiency of the standard Ethernet. So this is a standard formula they have designed for identifying the efficiency or calculating the practical efficiency. And this A is nothing but propagation delay divided by transmission delay. So once we have propagation delay and transmission delay, or propagation time or transmission time, then we can able to identify what is the value of A, and then we can able to decide the efficiency or calculate the efficiency by using this formula. So we'll see one with an example. So in the standard Ethernet with the transmission rate of 10 Mbps, that is bandwidth, we assume that the length of the medium is 2500 meter, that is the distance, and the size of the frame is 512 bits, that is the size of the frame. The propagation speed of a signal is in the cable is normally 2 into 10 to the power 8 meter per second. Find the efficiency of the network. So here what are the things they have given? They have given the bandwidth, they have given the distance, and they have given the propagation speed, and they have given the size. So if we have distance and speed, we can able to identify the propagation time. So propagation time is nothing but, so propagation delay or propagation time is nothing but distance divided by speed. So both the things are given. So distance is 2500 meter, and speed is 2 into 10 to the power 8 meter per second. So by that we can get what is propagation time. And since they have given bandwidth and size, we can able to identify the transmission time. So transmission time is nothing but, or transmission delay is given by size divided by bandwidth. So apply the values for this formula, and then you will get the transmission delay. So 512 bits divided by 10 to the power 7. So it is given in Mbps, so convert into Bps. So 10 to the power 7 Bps. So and get this transmission delay. So once we have propagation time and transmission delay, or propagation delay and transmission delay, you can able to identify what is the value of A. So A is nothing but PD or PT, propagation delay divided by transmission delay. So find the value of A, then you can apply this value to the formula, to this formula. So just calculate that, and approximately you will get 36%. So 36% as efficiency. The efficiency will be between 0 to 1. So this is how we can calculate the efficiency of a standard Ethernet. So next is physical layer, implementation of physical layer. So based upon the implementation, we have 4 different types of physical layer implementation in standard Ethernet. So one is called as 10 base 5, 10 base 2, 10 base T, 10 base F. So based upon the different types of medium we use, based upon that we have different implementation of physical layer. So we'll discuss one by one what is 10 base 5, 10 base 2, 10 base 3 and 10 base F. So before that, so just I wanted to discuss about transmission media. So actually this is an important concept to understand the physical layer, implementation of physical layer. So what are the different types of transmission media we can use in the network? So the entire transmission media can be divided in broadly classified into two types, that is guided media and unguided media, or we can also call it as wired and wireless. So actually this is not included in the syllabus. All the slides which is given with this symbol is not included in the syllabus, but we have to understand the concept. That is why I'm just discussing those things in this lecture. So guided media is nothing but wired. So where we'll be using a physical link between the devices, that is wired link between the devices. So in this guided media we have three types of cables: twisted pair cable, coaxial cable, and fiber optic cables. And under unguided media we use free space as a transmission medium. So once we understand this, then only we can able to look into these things. What is thick coaxial, what is thin coaxial, what is UTP, what is fiber optic cable. So that is why I'm just discussing those things. What is transmission media, and what are the different types of cables we have. So those things. So in the guided media we have three types of cable. One is twisted pair cable. So as the name itself indicates, in the twisted pair cable we will be having a pair of cable which is twisted each other. And if you look into this cable, inside that we have a conductors where actually the signal transfers, and outside that we have an insulator. So I'm not going to discuss more about this thing, just the different types of cables, those are discussed, can be used in the network, only that much I am discussing. And in twisted pair cable, so this is a normal cable we use in the Ethernet. So twisted pair cable, we have two types of twisted pair cable. One is UTP cable, that is unshielded twisted pair cable, and second one is shielded twisted pair cable. So it depends upon the characteristics. So in the UTP, it is less, what you can say, layers. That is, if you look into the different characteristics, so here we have inside cable, pair of cable, outside that we have a metal shield, so that the signal cannot be will not be leaked outside the wires, so that we can able to transfer the signal without any error. And if you look into unshielded twisted pair cable, so there is no shield between this outer cover and the inner cables. So this way it is called as unshielded twisted pair cable, and this one it is called as shielded twisted pair cable. So these are the different categories of unshielded twisted pair cables. So category 1, category 2, category 3, all these categories will be having different specifications, and those specifications will provide different data rates and their use. So just glance it whenever you get time. And next is connectors. So normally for twisted pair cable we use RJ45 connectors. So this is RJ45 female, and this is RJ45 male connector. And here we have 8 pins. So 8 pins will be there. So based upon that connection, we can have straight through and crossover. So we will be having 8 different cables. So depending upon how we are connecting those 8 connections, we have straight through and crossover. So next is coaxial cable, which is mainly used in our TV cables. So here we have only single cable. So with inner conductor where exactly the signal travels, and two different types of insulators, and the outer conductor shield, and the last one is plastic cover. So all these are given for a protection to the signal which is traveling in the inner conductor. And based upon this we have categories: RG59, RG58, and RG11. So normally RG59, that's what we use in cable TV, and RG58 and RG11 we use in thin Ethernet and thick Ethernet, and these are the connectors. So we call it as BNC connector. So BNC-T connector, so where we can connect to two ends. So this is how the actual coaxial cable look like. So similar type of cable we use in cable TV or TV to connect our receiver to the dish. So next is fiber optic cable, so which mainly uses wave, that is light signal. So we know the important principle in light, which is called as total internal reflection. So that particular principle is used in fiber optic cable to transfer the light from one end to another end. So this is how the light travels through the fiber optic cable. So to have a total internal reflection, we should have two different types of medium, one rarer medium and denser medium. So between that, the light will be reflecting into the same medium, so that light can travel through the cable. So that is why total internal reflection is the main principle we use in fiber optic cables. So this is a core where actual the signal travels, and outside that we have a cladding. So this is the denser medium, and inside this one is the rarer medium. Okay, so this is not required as of now. So based upon the types, fiber optic types, we have different types based upon their cladding, the thickness. And this is the construction, actually how the fiber optic cables are constructed, and these are the connectors. Okay, so this is how the actual fiber optic cable look like, and these are the different layers. So cladding and their characteristics, armed fibers, jacket, buffer and core. So where exactly the light travels inside this core. Okay, so this all are, so till here it is not included in the syllabus, but anyhow it is important to understand the rest of the things. So we'll come back to our syllabus. Okay, so we have different implementation based upon the different cable we use. So we'll discuss one by one what is 10 base 5, 10 base 2, 10 base T and 10 base F, and what are the different types of cable we use in those things. First one is 10 base 5. So in the standard Ethernet, we use encoding scheme that is called as Manchester encoder. So this is line encoding. I think we have discussed in the second module. So line encoding scheme. So we have different types of line encoding. One out of that is Manchester encoder or decoder. So encoder we use in sender side and decoder we use in receiver side. And after encoding, the signal will be transmitted through a twisted pair cable or fiber optic cable, whatever we use. So what type of encoding scheme you use in standard Ethernet? Manchester encoding. The first implementation is 10 base 5. So here 10 indicates the speed of the Ethernet. So that is standard Ethernet, that is 10 Mbps, and base indicates what type of signal we use, that is transmission we use, that is baseband transmission. That means directly we transmit digital signal without converting into analog. So if at all it is broadband, then we have to convert digital to analog. So here directly we transfer the digital signal through the cables. So that is why it is called as baseband. And 5 indicates the length of the medium, that is maximum length. So here we can have 500 meter. So that is why it is called as 10 base 5. So 10 is the speed of the network, Base is the type of signal we use, that is baseband transmission or broadband transmission. In this case it is baseband transmission, and 5 means 500 meter, that is maximum length of the cable. So here we use thick coaxial cable. So as the name itself indicates, the cable will be very thicker and it is very difficult to bend. So that is why, so the device has to connect it to the cable, so without bending the cables. So these are the, by using connectors we will be connecting to the cable. So this is an example for bus topology. Next is 10/2. So where we use thin coaxial cable. So the main advantage of thin coaxial cable means we can able to bend as per our requirement. And here again 10 is speed of the network, and base is the baseband signal, and 2 is the maximum length, that is up to 200 meter. They design it is 185 meter. So maximum is 200 meters. So what is the maximum length of a cable we can have in this network? And number of devices whatever we can connect is also important. So for a bus topology, so I think we have already discussed those things whenever we discussed topologies, that is advantages and disadvantages and limitations of different topologies. So the third one is 10/T implementation. So here T represents the twisted pair cable. So in 10/5 and 10/2 we use coaxial cables, and in 10/3 we use twisted pair cable. So where we will be having a pair of cables, different pair of cables, and here since we use twisted pair cable we use RJ45 connectors, RJ45 connectors, and this is connected to a 10/T hub. So again hub will also have RJ45 slot. So for that slot we will be connecting the devices. So this is a normal topology we use in our organizations, where we will be using the Ethernet by using RJ45. So remaining things are same. So this is baseband transmission and 10 Mbps speed, and here we use unshielded twisted pair cable, 2 pairs of unshielded twisted pair cable. One pair is for transmission and one pair is for receiving. So next is 10/F. So where F stands for fiber optic cable. So here we use fiber optic cable for connecting the devices. So 10/F. So 10 is for 10 Mbps speed and base is baseband signal, and type of link we use is fiber optic cable. So this is an example of star topology. So where we connect a device to a single hub, and which works in 10/F, is a 10 hub, and 2 fiber optic cables are used. One is for transmission and another is for receiving. So this is a summary of standard Ethernet implementation. So we have 4 implementation of those things: 10/5, 10/2, 10/T, and 10/F. And what type of medium we use? In 10/5 we use thick coaxial cable, and in 10/2 we use thin coaxial cable, and in 10/T we use 2 pairs of unshielded twisted pair cable, and in 10/F we use 2 fiber optic cables, and their length and their encoding scheme. So all the implementation uses single encoding scheme, that is Manchester encoder. Okay. The next one is, before discussing the next evolution of this Ethernet, so they have made some changes in the standard Ethernet itself to get higher bandwidth and to reduce the collision domains. So we'll see what are those changes. So here the first thing is they have introduced the bridge, so that we can have higher bandwidth for a single device. So we use a different device, a special device which is called as a bridge, which is mainly used to connect two LAN or to divide a single LAN into two different LAN. So whenever we divide a single LAN into two different LAN, so now here the bandwidth available for this will be more. So that means, for example, if I consider the bandwidth of this link is 10 Mbps. So now the average bandwidth which is given for each device will be 10 divided by total number of devices. So here we have 12 devices. So in this case, without bridge, each device will get 10 divided by 12 Mbps of bandwidth. So now what we can do is, in order to increase the bandwidth availability for each station, we can able to divide this entire LAN into two different local area networks. So each local area network will have 6 devices each, and these two are connected with a bridge. So now what happens? So this link also will have 10 Mbps and this link also will have 10 Mbps. So now the available bandwidth or the average bandwidth which is given for each device will be 10 divided by 7, where 6 is the actual devices and 1 is bridge. Even bridge also require bandwidth to transfer the data. So that is why average bandwidth given for each device will be 10 divided by 7, which is more than the this case. So that is why we use a bridge to divide the LAN into different smaller LAN, so that we can get higher bandwidth for transmission of data. So that is the main difference, LAN with a bridge and without a bridge. So next is collision, maintaining the collision domain. So even introducing a bridge also will reduce the collision size of the collision or a domain. Now in this case, without bridge, so 12 devices are attached to a single link. Now here the chance of collision is more, because more devices are connected to a single link. But here in this case, the collision domain are divided into 4. So where each collision domain has only 3 devices. So that means, so now there can be a collision only between these 3 devices. So that is also one of the advantage on dividing this LAN into smaller LAN by using bridge. So one is increasing the bandwidth and reducing the collision chance. So these are the advantage of using a bridge between the LAN. So bridge is a connecting device which is mainly used to connect two different local area network. So next is they introduced switched Ethernet. So where instead of bridge we use switch. So as we seen, this is a star topology where we connect all the devices to a switch by using a point-to-point connection. So here the link whatever we use here may be half duplex or full duplex. Whenever we use half duplex, a device can only either transfer or receive at the same time. It cannot do both things at the same time. But if at all, in these cases we should have CSMA CD. In all these cases we must have CSMA CD. Whenever we have multiple devices connected to a single link, or whenever we have devices connected to a switch by using half duplex. But whenever we use full duplex, in this case, then no need to have CSMA CD. CSMA CD is not required. Why? Because so there is no chance of collision in this case. So this is not required. Why? Because each device is linked to this switch by using a point-to-point communication, and device can transfer and receive at the same time because it is a full duplex. So whenever we have this type of topology, then there is no requirement for CSMA CD. So this is another advantage of full duplex switched Ethernet. So here we use a switch to connect all the devices to this switch, and we use full duplex link. So I'll stop in this video. In the next video, we'll discuss about fast Ethernet and what are the changes is made for physical layer and MAC sub layer. We'll discuss that in the next video. Thank you.